could have given up, but you didn't. You could have stopped believing, but you didn't. You could have kept living their expectations, but you decided to make this life your own. And in turn, you're here. Hello, everyone. Today we're meeting Michaell Magrutsche. He is author of the book, The Creativity and Awareness Educator, multidisciplinary artist, and also a speaker. Hi, Michaell. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Anna. Thank you for giving me a canvas to paint.
Yes, I'm so glad we found time to talk about your personal journey of becoming the person you are today. If you can start with diving into your story, how did you become an artist in the first place?
I was a sick child, and when I was 7, I got the second bang on my head, which was that I'm dyslexic and dysgraphia, meaning I can read my own writing. I can read your writing, but I can't read my own. And dyslexia, you switch, you see 31, you say 31, but you write down 13. So it's very hard for neurodiverse people to regurgitate information, what school is all based on, and to repeat it. And so I'm very good creatively, which I learned because basically it was my default. I couldn't survive anything else other than creating art. And that was and the arts community was the environment that allowed me to flourish. And most artists are the highest percentage of neurodiverse people, ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia and stuff are in the arts, because it's more humane there. It's not about what you can deliver in systems.
Right. So you found art as your way of expressing yourself and also connecting to your human nature and finding this way of kind of like channeling your energy on the canvas. Is that right?
Yes. Creating art allowed me to be a part of humanity, where systems didn't. Because I had to repeat 3 classes. I have no education. Everything I taught, everything I'm talking about, or all my wisdom comes from creating art.
Yeah. And with you being a creativity and awareness educator, if you can just tell us what is that all about and what kind of movement that you started, which is art awareness movement.
No, it's self-aware art.
Self-aware art, right? And so everybody could be, conscious of what it is.
Okay, so first of all, I was an artist, and I was like everybody else. And I told you I hit the wall till I was 50, and I tried to create I was unconscious of it, but I was creating art in hopes that the product of that art is going to sell on the market, which is system again, right? And when I was 30 and I looked back at my life, and I had to write a new resume, I thought, oh my God, I was on art. Everything is art related. So I didn't need. So I became aware that it wasn't an other person deeming me an artist, but I had to deem myself an artist.
Yeah.
So it's almost like everybody says you're a woman, but till you know you're a woman and you're aware of it, or get your period, all of a sudden, okay, I am a woman,
Yes, yes.
So you're not a kid, you're not a tomboy, you are a woman, when your breasts grow and stuff. So you get an awareness. That's what the difference between awareness and knowledge. They can tell you all about giving birth to a child. If you haven't given birth to a child, I cannot talk about giving birth to a child because I've never experienced it. Yeah. But neither has any woman that hasn't given a birth to a child. And awareness is is the experiential knowledge that we have as humans. And it's the highest form of existence, because awareness gets you to wisdom, and it's the road to wisdom. And wisdom is basically how we humans function. There's no excuses. There's no higher truth in that. It's just wisdom is wisdom. It's like gravity. It exists. And there's no, whatever we say and knowledge and all this stuff, we can't get away from gravity. And in the creativity, I found this separation of creating art versus the art project. And creating art is the conversation between your non-physical self and physical self. And the physical manifestation of that conversation is the piece of art, the music, the poem, because you have an inspiration. I want to do a podcast, and then your podcast looks like every other. It looks like any different. Everybody's podcast looks different. So your podcast is basically in a limited form, obviously, because you have a purpose, is the reflection of your conversation of your non-physical and physical to make a broadcast. So that's also
a form of art.
Exactly. It's every creation. That's why I call it creating art and creation the first human superpower, because look at our world, everything we created. It's the first superpower, and falsely people are falling in love with that creation and think it's higher than humans. No, it is the product of humans. Humans are part of nature, and it's still the highest. Not the systems, not Apple, Nike, or whatever,
Yeah, that's a very interesting concept. Nobody brought it up like before. So I was, I just thought about it, and it makes sense. So it's conversation between non-physical and physical part of us. And it's kind of like reflected out into physical world in form of some kind of creation. You can do either painting or, like you said, podcast, or whatever you're into, what your interests are, it will be reflected. So it's just kind of like part of you deep inside, maybe on subconscious level. You don't really like understand it consciously, but this is how it reflects. Is there any kind of advice you would give to people who feel like, there's something more in them? They feel like there's more potential, but at the same time, they're not expressing themselves enough, and they feel stuck or like unsatisfied. Where they should start? Like, what are the simple steps for them to start being creative?
I think awareness is number one, because what stifles the awareness is we have for generations lived through systems. We have experienced the human condition through systems, through being born in Russia, Vienna. That's a system. You get born in a hospital, you grow up, and then you go to school, is the next, then you get baptized, is the next. So it's all systems. So we experience nature. We are part of nature, right? And we experience nature in a very limited, systems are always limited. They can only do a little thing, a hospital is just for health, for sick people get healthy. Religion is getting you a spiritual knowledge. It's always, school gets you ready for where you're done specialized in a doctor, fireman, or whatever. So it's very limited function. And when you grow up in these cultures, in the thing, that's not nature. Because in nature, your worth is proven by existing. So an elephant and an ant have the same worth for nature, because we know from nature doesn't have any excess. It's 100% sustainable. It always adapts. And if anybody doesn't adapt in it, like the dinosaurs, they extinguished, and nature keeps going on and fills the holes automatically.
Yeah.
So we have tried for humans, we have extinguished ourselves in culture, the Mayan culture and stuff, for, at least 5-6 times. And so nature doesn't care about us. It just keeps going on. And we know we can extinguish us. And I think that blindness, it's a blindness. It's not a recognition that you're part of something that is endless, that is constantly sustainable. And there is no waste. It just, and that's unawareness is getting us in the problem, because we're looking, I'm, for example, saying, I don't know, how I feel to you, like right now, I wouldn't, not in a human way. But if I'm in a hospital working and you too, we talk in another way. And we now we're talking like humans, that have just met each other. But if we would work in a culture of a hospital, a politician or whatever, we need to communicate differently. And because we are adaptable, we are so adaptable, otherwise we couldn't survive a concentration camp or a war. We adapt so long till we actually believe that's reality. And that's what's going on right now, that we have lost our human relevance for system relevance. And I think when you mix those two, you cannot submit to a creation you created. So all the systems were created by humans, but nature and humans were created not by us. We don't. So that's why we can change. This is my missions. We can change systems because we're the gods of systems, but we can't change nature and humans. We can just alter nature by exploiting it, that our survival is challenged. And that's why we shouldn't try to say, oh, we can save nature like we can save a company. We can save a company, but we can't save nature. And that's our misunderstanding. There you see our misunderstanding. We think we should say, oh, we need to change our nature in the context of humans, so that, we can exploit nature in another way, but if we want, if we need to, but we shouldn't exploit it in the way that it kills our habitat for your kid or for your kids' kids, that they have the opportunity to also come for a short visit and experience the physical. And that's not even spiritual. It's just how it is.
Right.
And you see in that we have to save nature, how distorted we are, because it comes from an arrogance that we haven't done anything to nature other than disturbing our habitat. Because in Beijing you couldn't breathe right at the Olympic Games. And now we try to do, the Chinese also try to do zero tolerance with the virus. We believe we are better than a virus, which is, virus is a part of nature, a creature of part of nature that is adapting all the time. His job is to adapt. It's not like, oh, he's going to do the same as we humans do, and then we get something on the head. It doesn't work. We don't have, the same as we can't alter our body to not be affected by a virus. It's impossible, but we became so hubris because we see our creation, and say New York, for example, we see we created this all. So how can we not be master of the human body or nature? And it's so nobody does on purpose. We just conditioned ourselves to be lost, and that's what happens now.
Yeah, and like you said, nature is something that we should adapt into. There's nothing that we can do to change it. It's just us accepting it, being aware of it, knowing that we're more than just physical,
Yeah.
and find a way to maybe like have our own unique voice being heard, and maybe to leave something for others to see, like for the future generation, for example,
Yeah.
like in terms of like piece of art or some kind of creation that would benefit those who come in after.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I wanted to kind of to see if there are any tips you would give for people who still searching for their own passion in life, and where they should start, with simple steps, being creative.
No steps. Awareness doesn't have steps. But
Mhm.
what I can make you aware of is that the creation of art is way more, it's exponentially more than the product of art. So when you milk the creation, when you milk every moment, and this is the bad thing of artists just make it to get the product. And by that, they're blind to what value and treasure they have by creating. So when you milk the moment of creation, you realize it gives you self-esteem. I mean, if you created your podcast, nobody can say, "Hey, Anna, you can't do a podcast." Nobody can take that away. You know what I mean? In
Yeah,
systems, you
that's
always
true.
say, "Oh, this person does a better podcast than you," but they cannot take the fact that you created a podcast away.
Mhm.
They can say, "Okay, Joe Rogan is better in the system." Doesn't mean that he gives more value, human value, to the people. So in the system, the values are appreciated that is good for the system, not for the humans. So when you're creating, you get self-esteem, you get self-awareness. I never thought I can do a podcast. Boom. And you said, no, I'm not a stupid woman. I created this. And actually, I'm not a woman at all. I'm a human, another human, because the human alone, the gender, is the first separation that systems did to us. It's not we decided, oh, women are this way and men are this way. No, system said, I need people, warriors. So what I'm going to have the woman do? Okay, they do the wash and all that stuff, and they look for the babies. It is a system segregation. And then when we conquered other lands, we segregated in race. And now we try to segregate it in sexuality, but that is system segregation. It's not, and you cannot get a political correctness. A system cannot fix what the system did to humans with another system. It's about awareness that we're all humans, and our power, if you want to experience superpowers, is in being together, to recognize that you are part of me, I'm a reflection of you, and that together we are better than if we're doing it alone. That doesn't mean we have to hug everybody, we have to kiss everybody or do whatever. It's just everybody's a reflection. The beggar on the street or the billionaire, they're all a reflection. And by the way, both of them are very similar, a beggar and a billionaire. They both are worried about their finances. The beggar that wants to have more money, and the rich person wants to keep his lifestyle and not losing the money. So they're wasting their life force instead of living with other humans, they're wasting the life force about worrying about money, finances, which every system does, by the way, because all human-made, man-made systems are based on financial principles. So when you create art, all this stuff, by the way, is self-taught. I'm totally self-taught because I couldn't fit in systems. So what art creation does is just don't worry about the outcome. It's what do kids do? Kids, when kids are stressed, they go in the corner and paint, with crayons. And it doesn't matter how bad it is or good it is. They every time they make a drawing, they get a sense of achievement. It doesn't matter if it's abstract or representational. They get achievement. And that's what I'm saying of awareness, self-awareness, that you can do it. The simplest self-awareness is doing a drawing. That you can actually look at a house and you draw a house. That is the simplest thing of self-awareness. And there's so much power in this because like you with your podcast, right? Nobody can take that away from you. You might not make $1 million of it. It doesn't matter. The financial is the system value of creating a podcast is not what's valuable. It is the conversation that we have. It's the conversation that you have with other people, you know?
Yeah, and that's very enlightening to know that. So people too much in their head worrying about what other people would say. Like you said, it's part of the system where we based our value upon other people's opinions of us or what we created or what we can do, which is not really what is important. And what important is to be self-aware and to know that I can do it. And that could be done through different parts of, creative process, because we are here to be creators. And however you want to apply those skills, that's up to you, but you are a creator and you have to know this. So
and it's your first superpower. It's your first. So when the second one is discourse, like what we have now, and the third one is adaptability. But the equality, a system that works on rewarding people for what they do best for the system, cannot create, because system is so limited, it cannot create equality. Nature has equality because you exist, and we are part of nature. So there's no equality between an elephant, a system value equality between an elephant and an ant. There's no, but they have equality because they exist. They have both worth one, because the knowledge is and the wisdom of this is, and the awareness of it is, because they exist. Even if they don't know what their value is, they know they're valuable because they exist. And humans don't know that because we live our values, so system values, whatever the system deems us. I'm a good fire chief. I'm a good financial officer. I'm a good doctor. But it has nothing to say about human. They can be all rotten humans. And there is the super system navigator like Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos that are the super system navigators that are just the best players of Monopoly. They're just expanding in that what's possible in a Monopoly game. But that doesn't mean that you and I have to become those people or look up to them. It's amazing. And you should look at them and say, wow, that's humanly possible. And I'm part of that humanity.
Yeah,
right?
And knowing that as this is possible for you too, if you wanted to pursue the same route, like that person is no different from you, really. And our value lays in just being a human, like you said, just simply existing here. That's all you need to know that you're valuable. That's all.
There's a check mark. Nature doesn't make mistakes. We admit that too, right? So because we are part of nature, we are worthy. And see, the ant can never be an elephant. So it's not just that you could do that. No, an elephant can never be a thing, and an elephant can never be an ant. So I never can be perhaps a Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or Tim Cook. I could never be that. But there's a possibility, and they are part, like me, of the same species, of nature, of humanity, the human species, and achievements like that are possible.
Wow. Yeah, this is something to think about for our listeners. And I'm glad we brought those topics for us to discuss. I'm glad we had the conversation with you today, Michael. And thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too, Anna. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Stay tuned.